that I really will be tomorrow in the summit talking about. My topic is building your dream network, and I will make reference. If you listen to the show that just was published this today, business influencers show out there that I was a guest on. Um, you'll hear the title of that talk was building your dream network. So you'll kind of hear some of the. It's 30 minutes, so it's obviously I'm not going to cover everything in the 30 minutes, but you would have an idea of kind of where I'm going with this.
Now, did you send a notice out for that we can watch it or?
I think I posted it on the Facebook group, but I'll
Okay.
go back. I just it just got dropped, and I had sent out a Facebook Live reminder here and asking for folks that were able to try and register, get participate today, because I would love to get people's insights and thoughts about why they're what they consider and why they're networking and what they find of value to what we do or other group, whatever. So just as a learning, just to keep that kind of top of mind. So Ricky, how's when do you leave? You're going to be here tonight, right? We have music Friday tonight, right?
Yeah, we actually are leaving Monday morning.
Okay.
So
All right. Yeah.
going to going to Bella Vista, Arkansas.
Wow. Why
My
did you?
wife, my wife and her girlfriend, and of course we've been couple friends for 30 years. Their kids went to Arkansas universities and never came home.
Ah.
So they decided to pack up from Rockwall, Texas, and move to Bella Vista, Arkansas.
Oh, they're physically moving.
Oh, they already did.
Oh, wow.
So she and Vicky have been planning a trip for a year, and they were looking at the weather, and the weather is going to be really nice next week there. And we're all golfers except for Vicky. She'll ride in the cart, But so we're going to be playing a little golf, and we've never been exactly to Bella Vista. We've been all around there, but Eureka Springs and different places. But Vicky has all this vacation that she needs to take.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird in the banking industry. They require you to be away from the bank. Uh, you can't just take your vacation and not leave. You have to actually, I guess it's part of the federal regulations. And so they keep telling her, you've got days you got to take, you got to be gone. So here we go. You know,
That's good.
Yeah. So
Use it or lose it.
yeah. So Ricky's not gonna. What that means is Ricky won't be providing music on Monday at the mixer, but as it worked out, he mentioned that in Wednesday's meeting, and
Mark.
Mark, the DJ Deluxe, um, decided or agreed to provide music.
Vinyl music.
Yeah, so we'll be.
Cool.
He's got a pretty robust setup. In fact,
Yeah, sounds like it.
he came one. I think he came one Friday where neither Ricky nor I, or one Monday, I mean, where neither Ricky nor I was there, um, and did it. But that was just he had had surgery. He'd had um,
Cancer.
yeah, he had his kidney, one of his kidneys removed, and was recovering from that, so he couldn't lift anything. So he was excited to. Um, so we'll have Mark Ridlin uh, providing some background music for our event on Monday.
Cool.
So
Yeah, he not only did he have a bad year with the COVID knocking into parties, but he
Hmm.
had cancer on top of that.
Wow.
He told me that uh, it was by God's grace that it happened. I guess when his business was so down,
Right.
he qualified for the Parkland emergency, uh, treatment for his cancer because he didn't have any money, didn't
Right.
have
No
any.
income. Right.
Yeah.
That was great. I mean, you don't want to get cancer, but at least he got some benefits from it.
Well, I mean, when you don't have any income, you can't pay your
Right.
insurance premiums. And I mean, so here you are, boom,
Right.
boom, you know.
Wow.
David, what's the name of Facebook group you said about?
Oh, it's Richardson Plano Networkers. If you go to Facebook, I'll post it here. Let's see. I'll bring it up and I can share the link to the Facebook group. But yeah,
And what time is it?
I'm sorry.
What time?
Well, it's not a time. I mean, the group itself. Are you
Your
talking about the summit?
Yes.
Oh, the summit is actually all day. Starts at 8 a.m. Eastern, which is 7 a.m. our time tomorrow, and goes to basically 10 Central. And there'll be a lot of keynote. There'll be like 5 keynote speakers who have more than 10 minutes, and then there will be a number of us, I think up to like 80 or 90 folks that are speakers that will be doing like little 10-minute talks so there'll be a ton of information, but that was one of the things
That math doesn't work out.
yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I'll here, I think I copied that. Let me share this. I don't know exactly how many, but 10 minutes. And the keynote speakers are going to be talking for longer than 10 minutes. I'm not even exactly sure how long they'll be speaking, but these are all people like Laura Langmeyer and Bill Wallace, and some other folks that have huge audiences, huge impact, that kind of stuff. So, but I just posted in the chat, Mohammed, the link to our Facebook group, and in the Facebook group you can find a link to the summit. And if you haven't registered in Be Connected, there's a link there in the comments for the RP Networkers, beconnected.com. If you go there and then register for the event, then you'll be able to access not only the live event tomorrow, but also the replays. So you can go back, and if you miss somebody at a particular time, including mine, I'm speaking at 7:30 p.m. Central on Saturday. So, and then I'm actually co-hosting after my talk through the remainder of the event till the very end, and then I'll be turning it back over to Tanya Hoffman, the CEO.
Oh, I guess I heard you wrong, because I thought you said that it was only until 10 a.m.
No, 10 p.m.
Ah.
Yeah, it's all day.
Okay.
It's all day. So there'll be, and if you go to the event, if you clicked on that link that I had posted, you'll see that there are times for so anyway, we had quite a few folks um, planning to be here according to the RSVPs.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just not. I don't know if I scared them off or they weren't interested in helping me out or what. But anyway, I just posted the link there. So the link to the Facebook group is there, and then I just shared the link. If you click on that, it should take you to the event. You can see that Marie Diamond is at 8:10 a.m. Eastern, and which is 7:10 our time. Obviously, you can do the math. Forbes Riley will be just before my talk, and if you scroll down there, you can see that I'm on at 8:30 Eastern, which says "Secret to Building Your Dream Network." That's my little talk in there.
Cool.
So anyway, it'll be fun.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to it. So anyway, if we hit noon and it's just the four of us, I'm still going to go through this if you guys don't mind giving me some
I
feedback.
don't mind.
Actually, while we're recording and getting started, so Randy, you've always got a point of view, but and I mean your angle on the beach ball is one of somebody who's made a lot of contributions to the communities that you participated in and so on and so forth. And I know that you aren't involved today, or I know you have been involved in networks, but you're pretty exclusively enjoying or engaged in this group. But when it comes to there's a couple questions. One question I have, which let me ask them one at a time, and then you guys can share what your thoughts are. And Muhammad actually hit on this. The first question when I did my thing last Friday, that this show that I'll share a link to, is over the last year we've had to move from in-person networking to online and other things, and asked how I felt about that. So my question to you, you guys, the ones that are here, is what is your thought around the last year? Has it made it? What has the impact been? I'm not going to say better or worse. I'm just going to say what would your point of view on the impact of the pandemic and everything? What has that done to your networking, Randy?
You want me to answer first?
Yeah,
Sure.
Go ahead.
I personally think that, I mean, since I'm not very proactive with my networking, but I still help people that need help. And my observation is that, okay, great, if you have, and the way you've got the networking set up, the Wednesdays, is there's a good number of people that show up at 11:30, and then we go through the normal routine starting at noon. I think that the most powerful part of the networking, there's two pieces to networking. One is meeting people and getting to know who they are, having a conversation about anything, just understanding their personality. What do they do for a living? What do they do for hobbies? Things like that. And so that's a social interaction, and I think that's a key element. And I think too many people, in my experience since I moved here to Texas, is they're only looking for leads. You go to any kind of an in-person networking, they'll kind of, what do you do? And it's almost, you can see the look on their face. If what you do does not meet their need, then they move on. And I think that's wrong, wrong only because you never know when you or somebody can need what it is that you do, or somebody that you've met, and you can introduce other people. So I think that's kind of a critical piece. So I think I'm glad that we still do, the Wednesday session. I like the Zoom networking, and oddly enough, I mean, you can almost talk to more people just as intimately, if not more, as you can, in a face-to-face networking on Zoom. I mean, you see all the people, you see their faces, you see their expressions. You can ask questions as appropriate, or you can send them a text. And so I think Zoom is not a poor substitute for face to face. I think it is an excellent adjunct to face networking. So I'll stop there.
Yeah. Well, good. I appreciate that input because I get feedback frequently about people who basically refuse to engage in the Zoom environment, and then people who have over the last year decided to some degree that's the only environment
Yeah.
that they want to engage in. So I appreciate that feedback. Ricky, did you? What are your thoughts there? I mean, you've been networking and business networking as well as everything else for a long time. What is your thinking? Over the last year and forward from what is working and not working from this.
Well, I think that Zoom was a genius thing that came along just at the right time during COVID. But what it kind of let me see and understand is that you can use Zoom in a one-on-one thing, and that might be a better thing than Zoom group things, and that you can meet people and then tell them, let's have a one-on-one. You can do the one-on-one on Zoom,
Right.
maybe easier but you still get to see them. You still get to, but what I've seen is that this particular group, Richardson Plano Networking, is the Mercedes-Benz, the Cadillac of Zoom group meetings, of doing both at the same time, because I'm in two other groups and they have decided to not do the Zoom and the in meeting anymore. It's not going to be hybrid as of January.
Okay.
Too much trouble, too complicated, too much of a hassle. And these are pretty big groups, been around a long, long time.
Right.
So I'd have to compliment Richardson Plano Networking for pulling it off and making it actually work, because one of the largest groups that I've been a part of back in East Dallas, the last time they did the hybrid meeting, they had one person on the Zoom and they had 27 in the room. And so it kind of felt weird for that one person to be on the Zoom by themselves. They were kind of like, I guess they sort of like, they said they were kind of feeling left out, but I think that, like I said in the beginning, what really clicked for me is I love the idea of having one-on-ones on Zoom now,
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool.
Okay. So Mohammed, your perspective on this, you already mentioned that you've been very engaged with the group, and I understand kind of the journey you're on with regard to your business and your the moving geographic differences, language differences. What's your thoughts on what's working for you in this environment? Obviously, you met us, you've been with us on the virtual, but you mentioned earlier about getting more in person. Share your thoughts there if you can.
Yeah, I think both have advantage and disadvantage compared to each other. Going to in-person event, you have to spend lots of time and be present at the exact time over there. And but the advantage of being in-person event, I think, is you can spend and divide your time with every person that you think can be matched with your ideas and match with your business. But being in online event, you have to stay and listen to every single person, and you cannot have interaction with them, as like Ricky said about one-on-one. So you have to stay here, stay there for listening every people conversation. So you don't have option to go through people you think they can be matched with your ideas and your business too.
Okay. All right, that's helpful. Um, the the other thing that I'm curious about, so I guess if I process what I'm hearing is, and I think you said it as well, Mohammed, which is that there are, if you can pull it off in terms of building community and having the opportunity to both be virtual and to be in person when it makes sense, that's a beautiful thing. That's a good thing. But and I will echo, or I will validate what Ricky said, and that is that it's very difficult to do the hybrid and do it in a way that serves both the online people and the room. If we didn't have the flexibility, or I mean, it's not that fancy of a setup at the Pancake House, right? But being able to have each person in the room come to the stage and come on Zoom, and the people on Zoom can make this kind of connection that we're doing here. We when we first started fumbling around, and we had the cameras showing on the room who was in the room, and yeah, it didn't work. It did. People on the Zoom felt connected to each other, but didn't feel connected to the room. So I think that's kind of the secret sauce of that, but that doesn't come without challenge, and so you have to be committed in some standpoint. And everybody's not, when you're building your dream network, I think most people's dream isn't to run a network. In other words, isn't to do what I'm doing. Most people's dream network would be one or ones. It would be the community, and I'd say plural, but it's the community that really is connected to them, that they're able to invest their time, serve people, and so on. What are your thoughts about that in terms of there's an obvious business component thing, but when you think of, when I say building your dream network, what does that mean to you? Okay, I'm going to go to Randy again, or see Ricky's chewing, and I just talked to Muhammad, so I'll come back to Ricky in a sec. But Randy, when I say building your dream network, that means something to me. I answered that question on that show that I just did last Friday. I think people who know me, like Randy, like Ricky, that you would probably not be surprised by my answer. But what would you say, Randy?
Tough. That's a tough one for me because of the situation that I'm in. So I'm not really actively in business. Um, but so the dream network for me is almost people who don't realize that they need help, or they're afraid to say that they need help,
Mm-hmm.
because in a regular networking group there isn't anybody specifically whose specialty is to help them build their network, to help them uh, plug the holes in their speech and things like that. And I think so for me, my business, my what I do is to help people with the holes in their network, not necessarily by plugging them with people that I know, but helping them, looking at like the one that I won't mention names, but we went and we looked at her LinkedIn, and it turned out that 95% of the items on her LinkedIn profile were not her, and we have
Mm-hmm.
no idea how people were able to put stuff on her LinkedIn network. Um, she just knew that she wasn't getting any inquiries from LinkedIn, and we figured out why.
Right.
Um, so I think, from my perspective, it's just an ability to have a conversation with people and ask the question, what you know, what do you need? What is keeping you from growing your business? Go back to a couple of years ago when you had the loose leaf binder and the plan and building a good networking plan and all those different questions. I mean, um, may even be time to bring that back up again, because we've got a lot of new people, and that book is very helpful. The steps, the suggestions, all the rest of that, and then you can ask people on the Zoom. I think it's easier to ask questions for people on Zoom than it is in the room, because if you're not sitting next to them, depending on where they're sitting, you either have to hang around until they come out, or you have to interrupt them at the end because they may be having social conversation. Um, but here on the Zoom, I can hear somebody say something that I think could use some help, and I can send them a message.
Mm-hmm.
And several of the people that I've worked with were the result of exactly that. So I think it's for people who are shy, which I'm not, but for people who are shy, I think it's a great way to make that first introduction.
Yeah. So what I'm, kind of generalizing what I hear you say, your dream network would be folks who really you can serve. You're
Yeah,
not necessarily
exactly.
looking for a network of customers per se,
Right.
but you are, which I think is, I mean, at least is very aligned with me, and that's one of the reasons why I like you co-hosting and work helping me with this mastermind, is that you are focused on serving, you are looking for ways, and sometimes when we get into the thick of things as far as our business goes and we don't have time, or we don't have the clients we need, or we need partnerships, or we come in with a whole list of needs coming into the group, it's sometimes difficult to do to make the right investment in that
Right.
network, which is
Right.
really investing in serving the network, and then the return comes from that. That's the return, is that people will then refer or provide what you're looking for. But that's an over time thing. So Ricky, when you're thinking about your dream network, if you
I'll be
will.
right back. Okay.
Okay.
Just got
Yeah,
to
sure.
go
Go ahead.
get some coffee.
Ricky, what would you say in your words?
Well, maybe I have a complete different, you know, thought about this, but my dream network is I'm always looking for something that is very similar to church. very similar to small group, uh, 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 small groups that, home group meetings, maybe that you have at church. And the reason I say this is because I'm really not very interested in fluff relationships. I really like stronger relationships that, if you called me or I called you and you had a flat tire or you needed, the shirt off my back, whatever, those are the kind of relationships that I'm really looking for. And the fluff kind of relationships that sometimes happen in business, uh, they're not really your customer because they would drop you in a New York minute, if they thought they had a better deal. And lots of times, well, most of the time, I've learned that even myself, when I go to purchase something, I'm not necessarily looking for the lowest price because I don't know, you hardly ever get the good service with the lowest price. And so, if it's all about fluff and the lowest price, I'm really just not interested in that kind of, what you'd call the in your words, the perfect scenario for what would your, the perfect scenario for your uh, group, or what was the word you were using?
Dream network.
Dream network.
Yeah.
And the dream network would be a close relationship with people, and that's how my business through the years have flourished. Is that the closer relationships I had with people, the longer the business relationship lasted.
Interesting.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So the depth of the relationship is very important to you in terms of
Yeah.
being in your network, and your dream network includes, um, one of the things I said again in the interview that I did was, and I think actually Chris Salem, who was interviewing me, um, said it first, was it's the quality of the connections, not the quantity.
True.
So, it's kind of like, it's not the getting there, it's not a race to see how many people know your name. It's really investing your time in the people that you are associating with.
If
And
I
it's
don't want
really,
if I don't want to be around somebody, or they don't want to be around me, we can't even go to lunch together. We can't even go out to supper together, dinner. Uh, can't go to the movies or go play golf or go bowling or whatever. If we
Mhm.
can't spend other time than just the business time together, well, to me, that's not the kind of relationship that I'm looking for.
Right.
And it because what I call the fluff kind of, casual relationship just never seems to work out in the long run.
Okay. And that's good. I mean, the interesting thing is, and I appreciate that feedback, and that doesn't surprise me because we have that kind of relationship. And what Randy said doesn't surprise me. There are people that their dream network wouldn't have that depth,
Right.
right? I mean, there are people that they just want to get out, they want to make a connection, and we've got people that over time, in our network that, it's, you use the analogy of church. So, and I'm very involved in that kind of community and that kind of network as well. And I would say, you have people that just show up, you know, once in a great while on, you know, Easter and Christmas and whatever, and their connections, right? Maybe Facebook friend type connections, you know, or LinkedIn type, but they're not the depth that you're talking about. Muhammad, what are, you know, I mean, you don't have to, you know, go into a lot of depth, but what if I were defining, if you were defining your dream network being kind of new into the process and getting, not new into networking probably, but just new into our community and stuff, what would you say when I said, how would you define your dream network?
At this time, to me, is improving myself, improving my knowledge, improving my skill. At the first time, this is my dream networking right now. So after that, I would love to be in a networking event in person.
Okay.
So I can communicate closely with people, and we can know each other and introduce our services and uh, everything that we can match together.
Okay. I get it. And so one of the things you hit on, which is something that one of the reasons why we do this Friday mastermind and so on. Uh, but I get it when I have one-to-ones with people, and that is the educational aspect. That I'm continually, you know, I remember Randy remembers. I'm sure you know Anil Gupta. I reference him periodically. We all need to be grateful, giving, and growing. Those are the three G's, right? And growing is learning. And that's part of why we do what we have been doing for quite a few years now. On the Fridays, part of this network, if you will, is helping people along that path of growth, personal growth, business growth. It's not just growing your business, right? It's growing the um, the growing your relationships, growing your understanding of things. So I'm going to run through real quick here, and again, I would really welcome any thoughts about this, and I'm going to try and go through it in what would be a 10-minute window, and so that's going to be tough because I tend to, when I'm talking to you guys, I'm not trying to blow through it. I'm trying to hit the high points. But you know, my background. So I'm going to start the clock right now. So my background, I've had about 45 years of business transformation, starting when I was in the corporate world. Was able to be in a vice president partner role for companies over that time. Today I'm author of the Vision Challenge, a speaker, podcaster, and a coach. I have 15 years of the last 15 years of retirement where I really decided that I was going to have an impact, building also the impact of the people that are brought into my community, as well as and then if money comes, it's the thing. So I've flipped that, and that's what I've been doing. My real passion today, as I've learned over that time frame, is to really support inspired leaders, of servant leaders, really building community, building networks, and I lead a number of groups. So y'all know that. So really my view of networking is, and when I'm done with this, what I really want you to do is understand that there's a huge amount of value in us associating. So I would invite you to be part of, you know, warrior versus zombie community on Be Connected. Connect with me in any way. Be part of RP Networkers, which is also both in person and on the Be Connected platform. But I view your network is second only to your time as your greatest asset. And you know that for those that have known me, but network is critical to your success, and even more so in today's world. So the question really is, how can I build my dream network? What is your dream network? That's something for you to define, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But the key is, what are you going to do today and going forward into 2022? Are you going to do the same thing you're doing? Are you going to do more than what you're doing when it comes to networking? Or are you going to do something different? The way that you answer that question today, if you participate like in this mastermind, you participate in this summit, you participate in here, is I'm hoping that you're really saying, I want to do more. And I maybe even consider doing some things differently as we build our network. The other thing is, when you're building a network, is what are you focusing on? And we'll talk about that in a minute, but what are you focusing on? You need to continually ask that question. You need people in your network that are helping you evaluate and make sure you're focused on the things that you really want and need to be focused on that will serve you. How will you build and sustain your network the rest of this year and into network next year? And the thing is, we were talking about it in my mastermind just now, and yesterday or whatever, I'll be talking about it. And that is that it's different than it was when we were just building networking in a face-to-face, even though it was networking plus LinkedIn and all these other things. So today you want to accomplish similar things on an online basis. When you look at it, you need to really step back and say, what does your network look like and how can we leverage it? But then also, what components, if again, you really embrace this concept of you want to have a dream network. I shared in an interview the other day that if I walk into a room and that's a networking group, or I walk, or I'm online, and it's just a bunch of noise and it's cacophonous, it's just, I can't hear anything, can't sort out, can't understand who's talking to, what they're saying, that wouldn't be a dream scenario. That would be more like a nightmare. I can't understand the messages being delivered. I can't communicate my value. So the key is, you need to really think about what are the meaningful parts of your dream network. When I say, where are you focused, this is the most important thing that I've found. And it's not only in your network, but in your business, is that why are you showing up to that network? Why are you in the business you're in? Why do you develop and serve your community and whatever? Knowing that we all have a unique reason. We all have a reason why we are allocating our most valuable asset, which is our time, and obviously our money as well. And then when you show up to serve, you need to understand the value that you can provide. It's not something that's your product, if you will, or maybe associated with that. Hopefully it's aligned with your product, but you always provide, as a person, as a node on your network, some specific value. And people always look to you for that. There's people in my communities that are, they're the go-to person for that. And then the last one is, where are you going? You need to know those three things as you enter the room. Now, that can be a virtual room or a physical room, but if you know those three things and you focus on those three things, it gives you an incredible amount of power, because it communicates to your people, the people in your network, in the room, what kind of value you can provide, where are you going, and why are you there. If they know that, then this whole concept of having a network of people that you know, you like, and ultimately trust is what is the outcome of that. Because your people, your peeps, as I say, will start to follow you. So it's a very powerful thing to be part of that. What do you do once you know what that is? You are really in a process of alignment, daily action. And I don't mean daily networking action, but I mean when you want to serve your network and you want to serve the people in your network on an ongoing basis. I can submit that there are people in my network who I communicate a whole lot with more than I do just in the networking meeting. I communicate with them because they're part of my daily journey. They're part of my ideal day. And then that is the key, is even if you've got a job, you're working for a company, you're building your company, whatever it is, you need to be focused on living your life by design, living your ideal day. And the thing I want to leave you with most importantly is, as the song goes in my podcast, Warrior versus Zombie, that Ricky Jean Wright wrote, is it's not the getting there, it's the journey every day. This isn't something that you show up to a meeting and that's your ideal network. No, it's part of your daily journey. So my invitation to you is to become part of my group, my community, and I'll be putting a link in the chat for you to register, sign up to be part of our community. And my goal would be to help you and everybody that you know live your ideal day and have your dream network. So,
It's interesting. I was, while you were talking,
Awesome.
I was thinking. Can you hear me, by the way?
yep, gotcha.
Okay. I was thinking when I first came down here and started networking. I'd hear about a networking group. Somebody would tell me, and I would go, and I would usually go twice, but I would always have a first impression, as we all do. And back then, 6 years ago, it was almost it was a business card exchange, is what they were back then. So everybody was giving everybody else their business cards. Some people were impressed, trying to be impressive by carrying this huge stack of business cards. I'm, wow, that's really cool. Yeah. But that really didn't work, because just recently I had put them all dutifully in folders, file things for business cards, and over the course of 6 years, I'll bet I didn't use 10 of them. Most of the people were just, I couldn't help them, and they didn't have anything that I needed. And I've seen a shift. Of course, my networking is much limited, but I've seen a shift to people trying to get to know people a little bit better. And maybe I can't sell you my product, but maybe I can help you, or maybe I know somebody who could use your product. And I think that becomes when networking is truly successful.
Yeah, and that's all. I agree with you, Randy. I think that maybe, because I've been part of other groups, and again, I'm not going to sit here and talk about other networking groups, but there's some very successful groups, and you may even connect the dots here because we were part of the group for a bit. But there are groups who are very leader driven and they only go so deep. They're just, and part of it is timing. You mentioned collecting the business cards, organizing them, knowing, your Rolodex back in the old days, right? This contact list, or your CRM today, you put all that in there and you say, that's my network. No, that's not. The network is really, as you heard me say, it is a relationship. It is a trust relationship that you really have to have. And, it's really timing is everything. And so if you aren't there, it doesn't have to be you're there for every meeting or you're
Right.
there in everything. But if Randy's not there, I mean, even though you've had some challenges and you haven't been in every meeting, but when you're not there, I miss you, right? And to me, even if I'm not running the network, even if it's, go back to what Ricky said, and it's my church, I'd like somebody to notice that I wasn't there,
Right.
right? And I would like to still be enough in their mind to when I'm not there, they would miss me. But also, if they miss me when I'm not there, then if I'm having a conversation with somebody else that's not related to them at all, right? And the topic comes up, Randy's going to come to my mind. If I say there's a lot of questions that need to be asked here. This person is struggling with some things, and I know Randy, and you need to have a conversation with Randy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's learned a lot. You know, Ricky has learned a lot. You know, in his, not only in his music, but in his business networking and his, you know, card processing and the relationships he's had with clients and how to do those kinds of things in a very Americana type of way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I run across somebody that's kind of a good old boy, down to earth, in this space, and he can help, I mean, I'm never gonna forget Ricky. I mean, that to me is my ideal network is whenever somebody is out there in their world when I'm not around, they think of me when it comes to my unique value. What about Ricky? What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Your thoughts about your presentation you just did?
Yeah,
Or
anything that I mean, it'll never be the same. I you know, kind of go through it. I know I've got 10 minutes. I want to get the information out there. The main points are: make sure you know why you're showing up. I mean, it's really pretty simple. It's why are you showing up, the value you provide, and then come into it with a servant mentality. And that's going to be your ideal network, right? That's going to be your dream network.
well, I always get something out of any presentation that you're doing. You have a gift of being a good presenter, but you kind of overdid yourself, went way beyond. This one is really good. This 10 minutes is jam packed with almost everything you say is an important. Let me write it down. So
Mm-hmm.
I think you really hit the nail on the head with this 10-minute presentation. You really put some thought into it, or it just kind of came to you out of the you know goodness of God's grace or something. Because man, that was right down the between the goalposts. That's
right in the middle of the fairway.
yeah. Yeah.
Wish I could do golf that well. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thanks for the encouragement. Yeah, the irony is, last night I sat down and Cheryl and I were talking, and I said I need to get this 10-minute thing knocked out. I don't know what slides I'm going to use. What I'm going to do. I know essentially what I'm going to do, and I had a couple of glasses of wine, and I sat down and I went, and she said, "What? You're done already?" And I said, "Yeah," because I just, you know, put it out there. It was the same thing with this interview that I did last Friday. When I did the interview, I wasn't sure where he wanted to go. I wasn't even sure what the title of what he wanted me to talk about. I just knew he said, let's talk, and will you be on my radio show? So it's his show. I said, okay. And he said, we got on the call, and he said, so what do you want to talk about? And I went, I don't know. I'm doing, I'm investing a lot of time in building your dream network. And he said, okay, let's use that. Let's build your dream network. And I said, I'm actually doing the summit. He's actually a speaker, by the way, Chris Salem. He's earlier in the morning, but he's doing a 10-minute at the summit as well. So, Mohammed, what thoughts do you have? Anything there that resonated with you?
In connection with your speech, I think we need to categorize our relationship and our networking groups. As like you said, you want to make relationship with people who uh, even you were not there, they miss you. So this type of uh, building relationship is kind of friendship.
Hmm.
So which is awesome. But in business side, uh, many people have their preferences
Hmm.
to make friendship relationship.
Hmm.
So, and this is not my side to choose them, and I wanted to make this type of relationship with them. So this forced me to make category, a specific category for my business relationship,
Hmm.
my friendship category, and uh, my family category like this, and define the specific uh, relationship and define the specific uh, uh, rules or connection with that.
Hmm.
So it helped. I think it helps more effective to get relationship with this type of categories.
Yeah, it's actually interesting that I think I understand what you're pointing out, and I think it is what you're saying is very powerful because it is important. I think that we use this term, it's probably overused. We use a term called authenticity. But when you talk about building relationship that you know, like, and trust, where, that's what we're striving to do in business network, right? Ricky referred to deeper friendships. Randy and I have friendship. I mean, we've developed, but that didn't start that way. We
Right.
just we just showed up, and because Randy showed up and you've shown up, Muhammad, you've been authentic, and you said this is who I am. One of the things that I think is a fallacy in building your look. Think about it. If you're hanging around with people like Ricky was talking about, day in and day out in the networking world, and you don't like those people, you don't have kind of shared beliefs, they don't know what you value, you don't know what they value, but you're just hanging out with them because you think there might be some business there. That's not a dream network. That is number one, they're probably not going to be that excited about you showing up, and number two is they're going to look at you sideways. They're not going to be trusting you because, you know, you know, showing up, bringing, even in the workplace, not just in networking, right? But bringing your authentic self to the party. I talk about, my spiritual beliefs with my friends. I mean, people know where I'm at. If they're biased or whatever, I'm not going to beat anybody up. I'm not trying to make somebody be who I am, but you know where I'm going. You know who I am, right? If you know who I am and you know who I'm going, where I'm going, then you know who you can refer to me in the network. Um, but if you don't know who I am and you don't know where I'm going, then I'm not going to be I'm not going to be that valuable. You're not going to be that valuable to me as a return on my investment, if that makes sense. So you're saying that's, a lot of people come into networking thinking, okay, this is as Ricky would say, business networking. This is business networking, and it's not musical networking, or it's not church networking, it's not family networking, it's not neighborhood networking. The reality of it is those are all the same in my world. in what I teach is you got to be you. You've got to be you. And if the people that show up to where you show up like you and trust you, right? Then you're going to have, then we're going to have friendships like I have with Randy and I have with Ricky and I have other people in the community because I know who you are. You're not me. You offer things that I can't offer.
I totally agree with that. But the basic things that people as like us, we need to be honest, we need to be good person and make a trust with each other, with other people that you are interact with them. It's the basic things
Mhm.
in my vision. So I do make trust in my relationship with other people every day that I'm interact with them. So after that, in business side, sometimes when you find somebody uh, needs that you can provide your services and your product to them, and this is this job is done.
Mm-hmm.
So you provide their needs and they get uh, their product, their services, and this job is done.
Mm-hmm.
So if they need to continue this type of relationship, after that uh, you can develop your friendship after that. If not, the business job is done.
Right.
So at this time, uh, there is no reason to continue this type of
Right.
like I provide the perspective of my banking job. Like here,
Mm-hmm.
many people have their own relationship with lots of people, their friends and their families like this, but they need to come over here just for specific needs.
Hmm.
Right.
So when their needs is
When they
done,
need the banking or whatever, then
yeah,
you're gonna be top of mind, and the kind of the relationship is kind of the foundation of that. Ricky, did you have something?
Yeah, I'm married to a banker. She's been a banker in the Lakewood, Dallas area for 30 something years
Right.
with different banks. Most, and generally speaking, they would start up a bank and it would be bought out by a bigger bank and stuff like that. And, but in 2014, she had a serious illness and had a aneurysm in her temple and had about a 50-50 chance of actually making it through a brain surgery.
Right.
And I noticed immediately that over this 30 years of business relationships, that there were people that would come to the hospital and it would be father and son who were in, the father started the business and the son was continuing the business. There would be people like that that come, and even though they couldn't come and see her because she was in intensive care, they would come and ask for me, and they'd tell me I didn't necessarily know who they were, but they knew my wife all these years as their banker, and so those are the kind of relationships that, and there were many people that showed up uh, because of the relationships that she had over the years, and so those are, and it was not just one or two. There was many. So those are the kinds of things that we're talking about the perfect scenario of the group that you want to uh, involve yourself in, and that's people who care for each other. And but on both of those instances, both of them have to be caring. It can't just be one person caring, you know. But I think what happens is that because my wife is a caring, gracious person, those are the kind of people that are attracted to her
Right.
and that do
Right.
business with her. And so it's just kind of a, you know, the idea of we're just going to do business stuff and then that's it. I'm never going to hear from you again. That's what I call kind of fluff.
Yeah.
You know, you could jump from company to company to company, from business to business to business, and do fluff business and never build any relationships. And I guess you could be successful, but to me, it wouldn't be a real journey.
Yeah, you actually raise a great point, and I didn't. There's a couple of things that you said, Ricky, and that to me are. I mean, there's so much, only so much I can talk in 10 minutes. But one of the things that in my interview you'll hear is, what do you value in your network? And I said integrity, honesty, and people. And the thing is, those are attributes and alignment of values that are go much deeper than the business transaction, right? And they're people. And interestingly enough, if people show up, that's why I say, I even said this on the interview you'll hear is I said, I don't worry, it costs $2 a week, or we invest $2 a week for our 3 meetings. I don't ever worry about chasing anybody down, because what I really want is a high integrity group of people that you don't have. I mean, if you're willing to skate on a $2 a week thing, I mean, you're probably not the highest integrity person, and you're probably going to be uncomfortable hanging around this group of people. I think this group of people is such that you don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry. If you say you're going to be here, I mean, we do have people RSVP, but they all understand that if they RSVP and they don't show up, that it's recorded, and but I always appreciate it. But it's one of those things that them. You not only know them, and they have integrity to who they are, and they have integrity to who they are within the network. And I think that's what you're saying is, we will show up for you in personal times and tough times, because it is a relationship. Randy, did you have any thoughts? You always have some good questions or thoughts or whatever.
No, and it's sort of unrelated to the conversation you're just having, but I think that one of the interesting things about our group is we do have quite a few people who have more than one product or service to offer.
Right.
Um, and I think that's a plus. I'm not going to say that not having that is, but if I got the right, is it Luke? Is Luke the guy that's got? He's always doing stuff for different volunteer groups.
Oh, Luke Trahan, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And he's not just out there selling his insurance or whatever it is that he sells. He's out there helping people.
Mm-hmm.
And he's developing integrity for those people who don't know him. And I think it will ultimately lead to referrals for business. And I think we have several people who have. They're always first to say, hey, do you need any help? Is there anything I can do for you? I know when I show up, and I get calls. Lloyd, he calls me periodically and says, is there anything I can do for you? I appreciate that. I think that's the foundation of a really good group. And the thing that was going through my head, and I hate to even bring it up, but I'm wondering, how do we get some feedback from our members as to why, what can we do differently? You know, asking in a positive question as opposed to what can we do different to meet your needs, i.e., be be at these meetings, at the Wednesday meeting, and be at or on the Friday Zoom, because there's got to be a reason why um, people are not coming as much as they used to. Now maybe it's because COVID has slowed down a little bit and people out there hustling, trying to get some business. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm always interested in feedback, and people aren't generally shy
Right.
about giving feedback. I mean, in terms of things that they enjoy, and like you say, showing up is one of the pieces of feedback. But then I've had to learn, and I think this is a lesson of anybody leading a group is a network or a company for that matter. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, company you have to have people show up to function. Same thing with a network, and you have to continue to show up and do what you do, um, independent of whatever people decide to do and show up. But yeah, I mean, I think that the feedback has been consistent. That they like people want the opportunities to, like Muhammad said, to learn, to grow. Um, they want to obviously be connected. They want to get their message out. And some people really like the Monday mixer where it's casual and it's
Hmm.
relaxed and
Right.
get to hear a little music and stuff. And this time of year, by the way, just so we all kind of
Yeah.
understand,
That's the other thing.
we're coming on to Thanksgiving. I have to go in and up. I keep forgetting to update the calendar because the week of Thanksgiving we don't have any meetings that week, and
Hmm.
so.